again, everybody. Let's do our traditional 3 breaths of life-sustaining air with a nice noise on the way out. So we're just going to do them consecutively. No words at all in between. Just in, sigh, and the last one make it real big. So here we go. Deep breath in. So we are in the Christmas season. It begins. Has anybody here ever been christened or baptized? When I was a little boy, and my mama would call my name. So we all have this, right? And it's part of the word Christ. That's what I was trying to emphasize, christening you, but christening is what we see in our minds. But this Christmas, for the moment, I'm going to ask Jesus to just step aside for Christmas. Thank you, my brother. And he understands what I mean. Because the Christ wasn't about Jesus. He was teaching us how to be it. And in everything he did, and everything he said, and everything he taught was about awakening that Christ within us. So when I was a good little Catholic, in that religion, there are 7 blessed ceremonies, and they're rites of passage. And a christening is the first one, and it's a rite of passage into this world. Now, the terms and the understandings for us as we all were christened or baptized was baptized into a church or into Christianity. So as we've come and evolved in our own spirit, we cannot help but think about Jesus in this time of year. It's impossible not to. But as we've talked and learned all the different things about Jesus and what he was teaching, that's why I said for this moment, we're going to just set Jesus himself aside for the moment and talk about more about that christening within us that happens at any given moment, any given time. So when we were christened or baptized, do you guys remember the premise of that? Because in meditation, I invited us to see if we can remember. And there are certain things that we can remember, even from way back when, even if it's etherically, energetically, sometimes having the memory. But understanding what that meant for you as a human being in this world with that understanding, with that religion. What was your understanding of what happened when you were baptized? Anybody, just shout it out.
My sins were washed away.
Sins were washed away, that's one.
Became an official member of the church.
Became official member of the church.
We baptized, we
Okay, so now going in my tradition of how I was brought up, you had a godparent, and they spoke for you. And they said, we renounce the devil, or evil, or fear, as we've translated in it. And we will be the guardians, the New Yorker. I looked at Margie, and I went all the way up to Boston, actually. The guardians of this child's spirituality while they're still too young to make this choice for themselves. So we got their soul. Me and you, God, we got their soul. We'll protect them. And that's what the christening was. Then there's different stages or rites of passage along the way for the Catholic religion, and they filter over in a lot of different ones, like a communion, which is another rite of passage. And in the ceremony, it talked about the body and blood of Christ. But let's just look at the word communion. And this is where now we're starting to grow up a little bit and commune with our parish, with our people, with the folks around us. Confirmation, what Becky was kind of talking about, came when we were 14 years old and had now taken on ourselves that right to be a full member of the church and to make the commitment that our baptismal godparents made for us. It's now between me and Spirit. And along the way, there's a few more blessed sacraments in the Catholic religion. Marriage. Well, there's confession, of course. That was between communion and confirmation. And there's marriage, there's ordination, and there's death, called the last rites. Notice how that last rites, R-I-T-E, still a rite of passage is death. Every single thing we just talked about is a rite of passage. So as we talk about christening you today, I'm saying as we have lost our religion, most of us, and gone into metaphysics, new thought, new age, there's still that part within us that is the Christ. But have we understood to really go within ourselves? I've been doing a lot of talks lately about thought creates absolutely, about how everything I see has got nothing meaning, and then I'm giving it the meaning, and how if I bring that God spirit, all that is part of me with me, then my thoughts are always going to be in a pure place. I'm going to have that. Well, that's what I'm defining christening ourselves as. To be in the moment and to know that we have a choice every single day to think a certain way, to act a certain way, to be a certain way. Now, we can follow the teachings of the Christed one, or the Christed ones before them, or the Christed ones right now and here in our lives. And understand that there's many people that have Christed themselves. Today we're going to be doing a ceremony, and we'll do it in a little bit, where I've changed it from last year to where I had each other anointing each other, and put the altar up front, and we'll have us anointing ourselves, because this is a personal choice. And it's a real commitment. And it's not really anything to be taken lightly. Because as we do this, we are saying and committing between us and the universe that we want to awaken our spirits to be in a place of truth all the time. So that means that we have to, in our humanness, really understand those places that we go south. Those places where we have ego come up, where we have judgment come up, where we have competition and comparison with each other come up, where we have any negative thought about another brother known or unknown to us, meaning a stranger that I judge, or a sister and brother that I know and love dearly and judge. In that moment, we have an opportunity to rechristen ourselves every single day. When we talk about Jesus and look at him from all the different perspectives, this could be an Easter talk too in reality. Jesus comes from the East, likened and akin to hawk medicine in Native American, the messenger, illumination, new beginnings. So as we bring that energy to it, understanding that every single second offers us a new beginning to christen ourselves. The moment I realized I had a negative thought, and I'm saying negative widely, anything that prevents me from being pure of heart, pure of spirit, letting that flow through me without any obscurities, anything in the way, obstructions. That's all I mean by purity. So the nanosecond I have a doubtful thought, that's blocking my flow. If I have a hateful thought, resentful thought, angry thought, all those things are blocking my flow. I have an opportunity in the minute to do something, and I'm calling it rechristening myself, or christening ourselves. Now, as you look in this, you have to really make this commitment within yourself. You don't have to. I mean, you can walk around unawakened, or you can walk around more and more awakened. It's a inside job always. It's something that we look to ourselves. I put this mirror in this altar a long time ago and even made it where it was short, because I could have made this higher. And at first I started to, I'm like, no, perfect. You have to bow down to see yourself. If anybody to bow to in this world, yourself would be the one to bow to and honor. And as we do this ceremony today, the same thing's going to happen. You actually have to bow down a little bit to be able to look in your own eyes and take this commitment. Looking at the rites of passage that we've had from different folklore, different religions, different clubs, when we made that confirmation or we made that baptism within us, we were saying that I received something. Now, in our religion, perhaps it was the church, perhaps it was Jesus Christ. As we're talking now and awakening to the more, just the more, not better than or more right than I was before, just the more, like Scott always says, the more. And as I awaken to that more, sometimes I'm going to shed old belief systems. So those notions of before just may not serve me anymore. It's not that they are necessarily right or wrong. They might have been perfect for me in the moment to serve it that way. But now I'm looking in a different place. I'm taking ownership in a different place, and that's what I'm talking about here, is to take ownership of the Christ within me. Again, Christ did not mean Jesus. It meant anointed one. To take ownership of the anointed one within you. To take ownership of that Holy Spirit we were talking about, that you can sometimes be disconnected from experiencing, but you can never be completely disconnected from, because you are it. But you have to take ownership. That's where some people got a little confused when Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. And then it was like, well, he's the only way. It's like, well, you misunderstood. He's saying, if you want these results, do it this way. And this is the same thing I'm saying right now from this perspective. If you want to own all the wonders that are you, you truly have to commit to it. So that means every time you have a nonsensical thought, and I'm not talking about a silly, playful nonsense one, I'm talking about an ugly one, you got to own it. You may not have to go confess, because that sin of confession rites of passage ceremony got a little bit discombobulated in that church, for me and my preference. But there's got to be a moment of confession within ourselves, between me and Spirit, that says, I own that I just misstepped. And that I want to be on that straight path, or that path of fluidity in motion for me. It's like sometimes we have too much charge on the word straight and this, and it gets translated into wrong and right. It's like trying to use words that have no meaning to that at all, so we can just get the understanding of this is a commitment that we're making. Whatever path you want to choose, like we're doing drum circle tonight, we're doing the totem animals next week. That's definitely Native American flavor, right? Definitely Native American path. But who says you can't be a Christ in the Native America? It means anointed one. And all the different ceremonies and all the different, we just talked about Burmese today, and Scott was saying most of them are Buddhist. There's a lot of different ceremonies in Buddhism too, and they anoint themselves and own that stuff and know that these things are what's keeping me from me. And if we want to say from my God, it's still me. It's keeping me from me, and it's keeping me from you, and it's keeping you from me, and it's keeping us from each other. We have all this rhetoric going on with the election still. Can you imagine if the whole world just dropped that for a moment and looked in the mirror and christened themselves from the perspective that we're talking about now? It could happen in a nanosecond. It really could. We think it's going to take millennia to have, humankind. Sometimes I do that, and I made the jokes about metaphysical misanthrope and stuff like that. It's like, because sometimes I get very flustered with people going, oh my God, how am I going to expect the whole world to heal when Walmart sucks? Breathe. And in that moment, I have the opportunity to rechristen myself. What am I worried about christening everybody else for? If they come to me for a christening, help me awaken. Hey, wake up. Great, groovy, right on. I'm not force-feeding anybody anything. And then when people come to each other, we can wake each other up all along the way. Got coffee ready for you. Come on, let's groove. But that's different when I sit in there and wake up myself first and own that I was sleeping. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Pretty good. But I fell asleep. Oh, I thought you were awake. So did I. I must have got tired. But I'm up again. I mean, that happens to us at any given moment in life. Can't judge ourselves for it. How many times have we sat down in a chair and really didn't intend on taking a nap and fell asleep? So all the times in my personal life, I have never thought, you know what, I think I'm going to try to forget everything I know for the next week and fall asleep and just suffer. But in that week, did I suffer? Hell yeah. In those weeks, have you guys suffered in whatever it was? Even if it was the stress of, sometimes we mask it. We've done a lot of different talks on masks, and people have come up here and done their different perspective on masks. Sometimes we even mask our own wonder moments, like the stress of work, which we may like our job and stuff, and it discombobulates us because we forgot to Christ ourselves in it. Bless you. So then that stress can be transmuted into something that reminds us, okay, wait a minute, I do have a lot on my plate today. I do have a lot to do. That can be stressful. If I Christ myself right now, bring God with me, every part of me that I know is, I'm going to look at this pile on my desk, whatever workload you got, differently. And then you start doing it differently, and then your whole day changes. And I've done that. I've done it both ways. Oh, my God. And then the rest of the day sucked. And I've done it to breathe, and then just did it from that perspective. And it was a wonderful day, and I got more done, actually, than all stressed and discombobulated in my mind. So it's like, it's only logical that I christen myself for the logical-minded people in the logical folks in us, whatever. The logic in us, for that part of us that gets stuck in our thought of like, well, it should be this way because it makes sense. I can see the physics of it. And this is the metaphysics of it. It's always this equal, mirroring each other. So it's an opportunity. But with this opportunity, I picked this up and I never took a sip. Excuse me. with this opportunity comes commitment and it comes ownership. When we talk about in our workshop that the premise is, and it doesn't really tell anything about the workshop, a thing is what it is, own it, and then you can create with it. Well, that own it part in the middle seems to be difficult for people. This people too. I'm pretty good at owning my crap. Sometimes to a fault, I've noticed, to where people are like, oh, I don't know, TMI, TMI. But I'm like, remember Handbook to Higher Consciousness, and where it's kind of lending to like we separate ourselves when we have secrets. And it's like, and it's illusion to keep us separate. Well, keep it secret, keep it secret. And it's like, that's not love, that's fear talking. Is that the Christed part of us saying, keep it a secret? Not privacy. I'm allowed to pee alone. And actually, I'll go out on a limb here and go, the more open you get, you're not going to give a crap about that either. Because haven't we all been camping at somewhat before? And like, whatever, hey, man, yeah, you doing? It really is a natural thing. Somewhere along the line, even that got shame on it. Animals will just look at you and do their business. And no shame at all. It's like my talks will go south really quick, but the point is being made that even that is like we have an opportunity to Christ ourselves. Am I holy while I'm pooping? Yeah, if you want to, why not? But you're okay, man. But my point is, can I Christ myself in what I would think is a shameful moment? Can I Christ myself during sexuality? Margie and I have done tantric workshops and stuff like that. So a lot of people understand tantra, but do they really understand how sacred of sexuality that we are and are? Just period. That means I can Christ myself even doing that, which there's been so much of a charge and shame on. Say again? I've never had sex with Sting, so I don't know that. Right on. And the point is, there is nothing in this earth that you can do that in the moment you're doing it, you can't Christ yourself. Christen, anoint, awaken, be awake, be pure, be present, be God in that moment. And so many times, it's like, as much as this has been a commitment my entire life, and how many walls I have bumped into trying to be the good boy and all that crap, and getting rid of the dogma of good boy and just understanding what that purity really meant, and still what a challenge it is to have all those negative thoughts that want to jump in your head at any given point about nonsense, just to tell you you're separate. Because anything that comes up is really underlying saying, see, you're separate. See, you're separate. It could be like, that guy cut you off. Doesn't matter. It could be like, they didn't like your shirt. I always do this stupid shirt routine. It doesn't matter what it is. The moment you have a thought inside there that wants to make you separate, to prove yourself right. Remember we talked about in the last 4 talks that I was doing on Course in Miracles, how we're always looking at the past to defend what's right in front of us. Oh, see? Look, I knew they were going to show up that way because they always had. I'm right again. No, I'm not, first off, because I'm incorrectly thinking. But those are the moments I'm talking about. Those are the moments that we have the opportunity to in our tracks, right where we are, to stop. It doesn't have to be an announcement to the world. It's about us and christen ourselves in the moment. Don't even have to flog yourself. No apologies. I'm sorry, God, I screwed up. No, none of it. That serves not the universe, actually. Oh, doesn't help anything in the ripple effect of time and space. When I'm like, oh, there's a true act of contrition, but it doesn't come with the wine. Maybe some wine, but it comes with, wow, ownership. I did this. Now I ask that question, did it serve me? Does it serve what I know is true? Does it keep me pure? Does it just put clogs in my pipe? Keeps me pure. Great, keep doing it. Puts clogs in my pipe. What are you doing it for? Habit? Cool, great, own that. I have the habit of clogging my pipes. And in the moment I own that, now I've just christened myself with an awareness, with a truth, and I've allowed myself to awaken even more. What about those times people do something that we don't like and we just think shitty thoughts about them? These are the ones that I'm telling you, the most important ones, because you think that we don't get it. And I was just talking to somebody the other day, And I was standing in line type event, but it was a long line, so we kind of were talking about hippie stuff, man. I don't even know how we got into conversation, but we both saw the clerks freaking out about the long line, and I'm like, all of us can feel that. I said, we can always feel when someone is in duress, slightly or like really amplified, and words don't have to come in. So whatever you're thinking is coming out. So we didn't really need to be psychic to know that that particular person was in duress in that moment. But sometimes things are a little bit more subtle. And if you're really present with the person, you can tell that something landed on them or they're going through something. Well, when you're the one thinking the negative thought, the crappy thing, the judgmental thing, or whatever it is, you're thwarting your own wonder, but you're rippling that out in that nanosecond. If you have an awareness, you don't even have to run up to the person and hug them and apologize. It's about rechristening yourself, because that ripple is going to come out. The motion becomes stronger and clearer than that crap you had before. It's going to permeate all the bullshit. It's going to go right through their heart, and you guys are going to feel the love in the moment, and you're going to feel like, oh my God, I just climbed to the highest summit that I've ever even thought I could reach. Oh, because in that moment, I was willing to own it again, to redeem myself. All the different words we heard are still cool. The great redeemer, all this different, it still works for us if we can just translate it into that higher understanding where our souls are evolving to. Because we are all awakening, and sometimes we want to reject all the stuff from before because it beat us up and hurt us. And it's like, now if we can retranslate it, use a little snake medicine, transmute it, and then recreate and rechristen ourselves, wow, every opportunity for every single day can be a rainbow, can be sunny, even if it's raining and thundering. You know, thunder and rain are beautiful, wonderful things. And sometimes I wrote a song recently, I'm like, the night when shadows leave the land, when thunder turns to rain was the point of it. In those times in our life when there's thunder and we feel it building, and then the tears come, that's a good moment when thunder turned to rain, because we needed to be able to release that. And look what happens with all the wonderful waters that come from a thunderstorm, and how we see the beautiful flowers that bloom. All of that happens from your own thunder and your own rain, because in that moment, in that nanosecond, you chose to anoint yourself again with truth. You chose to own where you were at, even if it was hurting. Even that thunder rumbling inside of you was beating up your body, and then you finally let the waters rain and just release it all, and the clouds went away, the sun came back out again, and you were cleansed. All because you made a commitment and you owned what was going on in your body. No more judging. Oh man, I just thought crappy about that person. You're wasting your time. You're wasting their time. You're wasting all our times. Instead, say, I have an opportunity in this second to rechristen myself, to bring that spirit that I know I am, that you are, that we are together here, and to experience it. It didn't go anywhere. I just was looking the other way. That's to me what christening means, and christening ourselves. So today, that's what I'm going to invite us to do, and there's no big fanfare. That's why the microphone's not going to be here. Last year, it wasn't wrong. It was different. But I evolved in it, in my own self. It's like, let this be a commitment for your own self. It's nice to anoint each other, and it was a beautiful ceremony. But to go up here in this mirror, and there's better stuff this year too. Now that I'm into doTERRA. So it's fractionated coconut oil and real frankincense. Now the oil part may still stain your shirt. Say again? No, not this time. I might have some with me. I don't know. That I put on this thing, but it didn't mix well with it. So frankincense is good. It's the master of the oils. It's going to take care of you. What I'm inviting us to do, and your words are your words. I can give you a sentence. You know, it's like I anoint and awaken the Christ within me when you look in your eyes. But this is you. us. But it doesn't have to be loud. But what I'm inviting us to do is take a little bit of the oil, put some on our third eye, and some on our heart. If everybody can get to their heart some way. Scott can. Just looking at the shirt, so oil your shirt up. I know. I think about the silly logistics when I'm planning to. They'll get oil on their shirt. My 5-year-old. Have the moment. So when we do this, I'm going to ask that the next person in line stay all the way back here. Give this person, because it's not about the show of it, but I do want us to be able to come to the front. There was something about our Joy Explosion Christian brothers and sisters with the testifying and stuff. It's ownership. It's come up and stand before your people and own it. This one's going to be more quiet, though, because this is where I want you to own it the most. So take your time with this. No rush. There's only a few of us. It's 11:45, and after this, we're singing and we're out. So be in the moment with this and really understand what it means to anoint and christen yourself. And what I'm really wanting for you out of this rites of passage is that when you look in your eyes today, that something happens in this ceremony. To that when you look in your eyes the next time in the mirror, that happens in your head. And so that every time we see each other in the mirror, ourselves, we rechristen ourselves. So I'm going to get out of the way, and we're just going to open a space, but I'm going to get out of the way. Where did I put the mic stand? And yes, actually, I have a lighter in my car. I have lighters, yeah, but I cleaned it, and there's new candles. That's my little kid, too. Yeah, so it's going to look like this. Quiet moment with yourself.
Look out, the Grinch is here. Quiet moment for yourself.
I anoint, whatever words you want. For me, I know the words. I awaken the Christ within me. I anoint the Christ within me. I am the Christ. Whatever words you want. It could be here. Completely different sentences. The eyes are the most important thing. So, be back in a minute. Phone here, so.
You care about your business.
Empty space.
You care about your...
A lot went into perfecting new Quaker.
experience to watch too. So with this, and it was beautiful to watch, and I felt a lot of different things. I want to really send a message home of the commitment that you guys just made today. Not that you hadn't made it before, but to put some weight on this ceremony in your life. Honor the fact that you went through a rites of passage today. And we can do it every day. Sometimes we have to redo it and redefine our lives and recommit to ourselves. But that's what you did when you looked in your eyes and had your personal moment with yourself. So we have the opportunity now, as we've seen our own eyes and had whatever moment you had with yourself, to take that out into the world every single day. And if I do start, especially we gotta practice with each other, it's scarier. It is easier for me to practice this stuff with strangers. I love everybody, but the closest people in my life, the people that might actually hurt my feelings, or I might actually care what they think about me, what they think about me, or how they may care what I think about them. We're all discombobulated in this stuff. That's the moment to look in your eyes, to look in their eyes. If we have to, like, having a moment with each other, we want to just gently touch our own heart, or gently touch their heart to help bring us back, and to breathe. And if we have to sit down for a moment and get our brain waves settled down a little bit so that we can communicate in harmony with each other, that's what that moment's about, and that's what that commitment is. And as we now bring our brother Jesus back into the Christmas season, saying thank you for all the lessons and all the wonders that have been created in your name, discombobulated or not, that was still a way for us to have understood these dynamics of ourselves, and to now grow beyond what he taught, and to teach this more by leading this, by being the example, by being the one that's christened all the time, and christening people with our love. So thank you. As we come into this season, next week we're going to talk a little bit about some pagan stuff, which the Yuletide aspect of Christmas. So, and then we're going to have our Christmas concert. And then we get to start all over in a brand new year. It's all happening really quickly. So enjoy this season. Be with your family and friends. Keep mindful in your heart that we want to live like this all the time. We want peace in other countries all the time. We want peace in our hearts all the time. Let's use this season to recharge us, to revitalize us, remind us, revamp us, all the words that are good anyway. I love you, and so it is.
And so it